Learned something new? Hit that like button, share it with others, tap subscribe, and stick around for more. Got thoughts? I'd love to hear them in the comments. You know what's hilarious? We've turned exhaustion into a personality trait. Meanwhile, there's an entire country that figured out the secret to happiness. And it's literally just not trying so hard. Enter lagom, the Swedish word that'll revolutionize how you see everything. It means not too much, not too little, just right. Like Goldilocks, but for your entire life. While we're optimizing our morning routines to squeeze out 5 extra minutes of productivity, Swedes are deliberately working less and somehow crushing us economically. Sweden's GDP per hour worked? Higher than America's. Let that sink in. They're literally working less and achieving more. Here's the kicker. Lagom isn't about settling for mediocrity. It's about recognizing that more isn't always better. Sometimes more is just more. Think about it. When did busy become a status symbol? When did exhaustion become an achievement? The Swedes looked at our hustle culture and basically said, "That's cute, but we'll pass." Chapter 1. The Swedish Work Paradox. Picture this scenario. It's 3:30 p.m. in Stockholm. The CEO of a major company packs up their stuff and leaves. Not for a meeting, not for an emergency. They're going home to spend time with their family, and nobody thinks they're lazy. Swedish work culture operates on a principle that would make American CEOs faint. Presenteeism is seen as incompetence. If you can't get your work done in reasonable hours, you're not dedicated, you're inefficient. They have something called arbetstidsförkortning. Basically, work time shortening. Major companies operate on 30 to 35-hour work weeks. And before you ask, yes, they're paid for full time. Swedish productivity increased 2.8% annually while working hours decreased. It's almost like, and stay with me here, exhausted humans make more mistakes. Revolutionary concept, I know. The real joke? We brag about 60-hour weeks like we've discovered fire, while Swedes are home by 4 p.m. wondering why we hate ourselves. Chapter 2. Fika, the mandatory pause. Okay, this is where it gets genuinely insane. Sweden has a daily tradition called Fika. It's a coffee break, but calling it just a coffee break is like calling the Super Bowl just a game. Fika is mandatory, not suggested, not encouraged. Learn something new? Hit that like button, share it with others, tap subscribe, and stick around for more. Got thoughts? I'd love to hear them in the comments. Mandatory. Twice a day everyone stops working. Everyone. The CEO, the janitor, the intern. Everyone sits down together for coffee and conversation. Some Swedish companies have been sued for not providing proper Fika time. Imagine explaining to an American court that you're suing because your boss didn't force you to take enough coffee breaks. The judge would think you're having a stroke. But here's the genius part. Studies show Swedish companies with strong Fika culture have 20% higher employee satisfaction and 15% better productivity. Turns out, forcing humans to act like humans makes them better at everything. We've weaponized coffee into productivity fuel, while Swedes turned it into a meditation practice that happens to involve caffeine. Chapter 3. The Death of Hustle. Let me translate something from Swedish culture to American. When a Swede hears you worked through lunch, they don't think dedicated, they think disorganized. When you brag about sleeping 4 hours, they don't hear ambitious. They hear future medical emergency. Sweden killed hustle culture and replaced it with something radical. Competence. They focus on doing things well, not doing things constantly. There's no Swedish word for hustle. The closest translation is stress, which they consider a disease, not a lifestyle. Stress-related illness, covered by their healthcare system, because they recognize it as an actual problem, not a personality trait. Think about our workplace heroes. The person who never takes vacation. The one answering emails at midnight. The I'll sleep when I'm dead crowd. In Sweden, these aren't heroes. They're considered bad at time management. It's like finding out your flex is everyone else's red flag. Which, let's be honest, it probably is. Chapter 4. Nature doesn't care about your deadline. Friluftsliv. It means open-air life, and Swedes treat it like religion. Except instead of Sunday service, it's Tuesday afternoon walks in -20 weather. There's no bad weather, only bad clothes. That's an actual Swedish saying, and they mean it. Rain? Put on a jacket. Snow? Add layers. Apocalyptic darkness? Headlamp. Your spreadsheet will survive without you for an hour. Swedish law gives everyone allemansrätten, the right to roam. You can walk, camp, pick berries, basically exist, on any land that isn't directly someone's yard. Nature access isn't a privilege. It's a human right. Studies show Swedes spend 30% more time outdoors than Americans. Coincidentally, they have 40% lower rates of anxiety and depression. But I'm sure those numbers are totally unrelated. Must be all that productive indoor screen time keeping us mentally healthy. We've convinced ourselves that productivity means never stopping. Meanwhile, Swedes are out here proving that a walk in the woods is literally more valuable than another hour at your desk. Chapter 5. The CEO who leaves at 3:30. Swedish offices are designed to make you uncomfortable. Uncomfortable with hierarchy, that is. No corner offices, no executive floors. The CEO sits in the same open space as everyone else. There's a Swedish CEO who made international news for leaving work at 3:30 p.m. every day. Not because it was scandalous, but because Americans couldn't comprehend. Learn something new? Hit that like button, share it with others, tap subscribe, and stick around for more. Got thoughts? I'd love to hear them in the comments. He said, quote, "I'm paid to think, not to sit." Imagine that. Being valued for your brain, not your physical presence. Swedish management philosophy, management by trust. They actually trust employees to do their jobs without surveillance. No time tracking, no keystroke monitoring. Just results. It's almost like treating people like adults. Makes them act like adults. The power distance index. Basically how much hierarchy matters. Sweden scores 31, the US 40, China 80. Swedish interns can challenge CEOs in meetings, and it's considered healthy dialogue. Try that in America and security will escort you out while HR shreds your existence. Flat hierarchy isn't just structure. It's freedom from the exhausting performance of corporate theater. Want to level up your people skills? Join our YouTube membership for early access to scripts, input on future topics, and connection with a community that gets the social struggle. Click join below, and let's master human interaction together. Chapter 6. Safety nets. Create risk takers. Here's something that'll break your American brain. Sweden has some of the strongest social safety nets in the world, and one of the highest rates of entrepreneurship. It's almost like knowing you won't die if you fail. Makes you more likely to try. 480 days of paid parental leave. Per parent. That's 960 days per couple. Nearly 3 years. Meanwhile, America offers. Checks notes. Good luck and thoughts and prayers. Free healthcare. Free education through PhD. Subsidized childcare. You know what this creates? Freedom. Freedom to quit toxic jobs. Freedom to start businesses. Freedom to actually live. Swedish unemployment benefits. 80% of your salary for 300 days. Not because they love unemployment, but because desperate people make terrible decisions. When survival isn't threatened, you can make choices based on growth, not fear. We've been sold this lie that struggle builds character. Swedes proved that security builds innovation. Turns out, people take bigger risks when falling won't kill them. Revolutionary. Chapter 7. The Swedish No. Swedes have elevated saying no to an art form. Not rudely, not with explanation. Just no. They don't need to justify their boundaries with elaborate excuses. When a Swede says they can't work late, they don't say, "Sorry, I have a doctor's appointment," or my kid has a thing. They say, no, I have plans. Those plans might be sitting on their couch watching Netflix. Doesn't matter. Personal time is personal time. The Swedish no isn't aggressive or apologetic. It's just information. Like stating the weather. Will it rain? Yes. Can you work this weekend? No. Same energy. We've created this culture where no requires a PowerPoint presentation of justification. Swedes look at that and think, why are you negotiating with your own life? Your time isn't up for debate. Your boundaries aren't suggestions. And your worth isn't measured by your availability. The Swedish no isn't selfish. It's self-respect in its purest form. Chapter 8. Seasonal Living. Swedes don't fight winter, they surrender to it. And somehow, that's how they win. While we're taking vitamin D and buying sad lamps trying to pretend it's still summer. Swedes just adapt. Winter means different rhythms. Slower mornings, earlier dinners, more indoor gathering. They don't apologize for being affected by having 4 hours of daylight. They plan for it. Imagine that? Working with your biology instead of against it. Swedish companies adjust expectations seasonally. Summer productivity is different from winter productivity. Because humans are different in summer versus winter. We're not machines, despite what capitalism wants us to believe. There's something called sommarstuga, summer cottage culture. Swedes disappear to tiny houses in the woods for weeks. No Wi-Fi, no meetings, just existing. And the economy doesn't collapse. Shocking. We've created this fiction that we can maintain the same output year-round. Swedes said, that's adorable, and built their entire society around natural rhythms. Guess who's happier? Chapter 9. Emotion through structure. Here's what nobody tells you about Swedish emotional stability. It's not that they don't feel things. They've just built systems so they don't have to feel everything all the time. Predictable work hours mean predictable stress. Universal health care means no medical anxiety. Strong social systems mean less financial fear. They've literally engineered worry out of daily life. Swedish emotion regulation isn't suppression, it's prevention. Why manage anxiety about losing your job when you could just have job security? Why stress about childcare costs when it could just be affordable? They have a saying, det ordnar sig. It will sort itself out. Not because they're passive, but because they've built systems where things actually do sort themselves out. When society has your back, optimism isn't naive, it's logical. We medicalize stress while maintaining stressful systems. Swedes just remove the stress. But sure, let's keep treating symptoms instead of causes. That's working great for us. Chapter 10. The Ultimate Secret. After all this, you want to know the real Swedish secret? It's not that they don't care. It's that they care about the right things. They care about time with family, not time at desks. They care about sustainable success, not explosive growth. They care about collective well-being, not individual superiority. They've simply decided that life is more important than lifestyle. Lagom isn't about having less ambition. It's about having ambition for the right things. A good life, not a busy life. A sufficient life, not an excessive life. A human life, not a productive life. The Swedish art of not caring isn't about apathy. It's about precision. Surgical precision about what deserves your energy and what doesn't. They've turned selective caring into a science. And the result? They're consistently ranked the happiest people on Earth. So maybe, just maybe, it's time we stopped giving so much care about the wrong things and started being more Swedish about the right ones. Your burnt-out soul will thank you. Because at the end of the day, the Swedes aren't just living longer. They're living better. And they're doing it by doing less. Lagom. Not too much, not too little. Just right. Learn something new? Hit that like button, share it with others, tap subscribe, and stick around for more. Got thoughts? I'd love to hear them in the comments. Learned something new? Hit that like button, share it with others, tap subscribe, and stick around for more. Got thoughts? I'd love to hear them in the comments.